shattered promises. The Mumbai monsoon pounded against the windows of Meera Sharma's apartment as she stared at her phone, reading the message for the 10th time. Her fingers trembled, smudging the screen with fingerprints. The engagement party, her engagement party, was tomorrow, yet Vikram's text was brutally clear. "I can't go through with this. I'm sorry." No explanation, no warning. Just 11 words that collapsed the future she had spent 3 years building. Meera sank onto her sofa, the architectural plans she'd been reviewing for their dream home scattered across the coffee table. At 32, she had established herself as one of Mumbai's promising young architects, specializing in sustainable urban design. Her career was flourishing, and with Vikram Malhotra, a respected real estate developer, she thought she had found her perfect complement professionally and personally. The doorbell rang, shattering her stunned silence. Her cousin Priya stood outside, concern etched across her face. "I came as soon as I got your message. What happened?" "He's gone," Meera whispered, her voice hollow. "Apparently, our 3-year relationship wasn't worth more than a text message." Priya's embrace couldn't stop the icy numbness spreading through Meera's chest. "Did he say why?" "No, but I deserve to know, don't I?" Meera straightened her shoulders. "I'm going to his office." Vikram's downtown office buzzed with the usual Friday afternoon energy. Meera stepped out of the elevator, her rehearsed speech dying on her lips as she heard laughter from the conference room. Through the glass walls, she saw Vikram, the man who had supposedly been too overwhelmed to face her, raising a champagne glass alongside Sonali Kapoor, the daughter of his wealthiest client. Their eyes met across the room. Conversation died. Vikram's face drained of color as he set down his glass and hurried toward her. "Meera, you shouldn't be here," he hissed, steering her toward a private office. "Clearly," she replied, her voice surprisingly steady despite the earthquake inside her. "When exactly were you planning to tell me about her? After I called all 150 guests to cancel our engagement party?" Vikram winced. "It's complicated. The Kapoor project is worth billions. This partnership... Partnership?" Meera's laugh was brittle. "Is that what you're calling it?" "Be reasonable, Meera. This is business. The Kapoors are offering opportunities I can't refuse." "And Sonali is part of the deal, I assume?" His silence was answer enough. News traveled fast, in their professional circle. By evening, Meera's phone flooded with messages, some genuinely sympathetic, others thinly veiling curiosity or judgment. Her mother called, voice tight with concern and unspoken shame. "What will we tell everyone, Beta?" The following week was excruciating. Meera endured pitying glances at work and overheard whispers. Poor thing, always too focused on her career, and Vikram needed someone who understood family connections matter more than concrete and glass. The final blow came at the Architects Guild dinner, where she received an industry recognition that should have been her moment of pride. She overheard Rohit Desai, a senior architect, muttering to his colleague, "Talented, yes, but clearly not. Enough to keep Vikram interested when the Kapoor girl dangled her father's empire before him." That night, staring at her reflection, Meera made a decision. Mumbai, the city she loved, had become a prison of humiliation. Her reputation now carried an asterisk. Brilliant architect, but the woman Vikram Malhotra discarded. She opened her laptop and typed an email to an international architecture firm in Singapore that had been recruiting her for months. By dawn, she had received their enthusiastic response. Within 3 weeks, Meera Sharma packed her awards, her designs, and her determination, leaving behind the fragments of a life that no longer fit. "I'm not running away," she told Priya at the airport. "I'm running towards something better." What that something better might be, she couldn't yet envision. But for the first time in weeks, the future held possibility rather than pain. Blueprint of Resilient Singapore greeted Meera with a symphony of efficiency and innovation. Glass skyscrapers reflected clouds and sunlight, while gardens climbed vertical walls and pedestrian bridges connected disparate spaces. It was a city that understood her language, the poetry of sustainable design and functional beauty. Tan and Wong, associates, welcomed her with the professional courtesy she had craved. Her new apartment in Tiongbaru offered a modest balcony where potted plants soon flourished, reminiscent of her grandmother's terrace garden in Pune. This space, untainted by memories of Vikram, became her sanctuary. "We're assigning you to the Sentosa Eco Resort project," Director Lim informed her during her first week. "Your background in sustainable urban integration is exactly what we need." Diving into work provided the perfect distraction. Mira spent long hours at her drafting table, reimagining how luxury could coexist with environmental responsibility. Her designs incorporated rainwater harvesting systems, living walls, and innovative passive cooling that reduced energy consumption by 40%. "This is unexpected," remarked senior architect Wong during her first presentation. His raised eyebrow conveyed skepticism rather than praise. "Unexpected how?" Mira challenged, standing her ground beside her renderings. "Bold, perhaps too experimental for our clients." "With respect, sir, if they wanted conventional, they wouldn't have hired Tan and Wong. Singapore positions itself as a garden city of the future. Shouldn't our designs reflect that ambition?" A tense silence followed before Director Lim chuckled. "She has a point, David. Let's give the clients both options and see which vision resonates." 2 weeks later, the clients unanimously selected Mira's design, launching her into a position of unexpected prominence within the firm. With this success came new challenges: jealousy from colleagues who had been with the firm longer, unreasonable deadlines, and the constant pressure to prove herself. Naveen Kumar, a fellow Indian expatriate and structural engineer, became an unexpected ally. "They're testing you," he observed over lunch in the company cafeteria. "Singapore's architectural community is tight-knit and traditional. A foreign woman proposing revolutionary designs makes them nervous." "I'm not here to make friends," Mira replied, stabbing at her salad. "I'm here to build something that matters." "Fair enough, but you might need allies. The Sentosa project is just the beginning. I hear the Committee for the Garden Bay Development is looking for fresh perspectives." The Garden Bay development represented Singapore's most ambitious project of the decade, a floating residential and commercial district anchored to Marina Bay, designed to rise and fall with sea levels while generating its own energy. Competition. To lead the project was fierce. Mira worked through weekends, refining a proposal that incorporated elements of traditional Indian stepwells with modern hydroponic systems. When she presented to the selection committee, she spoke with a confidence that surprised even herself. "Architecture isn't just about creating spaces," she concluded. "It's about crafting environments that respect both human needs and ecological limits. My design doesn't fight against water's inevitable rise. It embraces it as an opportunity." 3 days later, Director Lim called her into his office. "Congratulations," he said without preamble. "The committee was impressed. You'll lead the Garden Bay residential sector design team." That evening, Mira allowed herself a rare celebration. At a rooftop bar overlooking the harbor, she sipped champagne and finally checked her messages from Mumbai. Priya had sent photos from Vikram and Sonali's engagement party at the Kapoor family estate. The gossip columns were calling it the real estate merger of the year. Surprisingly, the images stirred nothing more than mild curiosity. The man posing beside the diamond-draped Sonali seemed like a character from someone else's story, not the person who had once held her heart. A notification appeared from her architecture blog, a simple platform where she shared her design philosophy and sketches. Comment numbers had tripled since her Garden Bay appointment was announced. One comment caught her attention. "Your integration of water conservation principles with modern aesthetics is remarkable. Would you consider consulting on an eco-village project in Kerala? The message was signed, A. Mehta, Darty Technologies. Mira hesitated before responding. Her schedule was already overwhelming, but something about the project description intrigued her. Her fingers hovered over her phone before typing, "Interested in hearing more, available for video consultation next Tuesday." She pressed send, unaware that this small decision would alter the blueprint of her carefully reconstructed life. 6 months passed in a blur of deadlines and achievements. The Garden Bay model garnered international attention, and Mira found herself quoted in architectural journals and invited to sustainability conferences. She expanded her team, mentoring young female architects and establishing a reputation for excellence without compromise. On a rare free Sunday, Mira visited the Singapore Botanic Gardens. Among the orchids and rain trees, she realized she hadn't thought about Mumbai or Vikram in weeks. The pain that once consumed her had receded, replaced by purposeful creation. Her phone buzzed with an email notification. The Kerala Eco Village project had secured major funding, and A. Mehta was coming to Singapore for the Green Technology Expo. "Would you be interested in discussing collaboration in person?" the message asked. Mira smiled and typed her response. "Yes, time to build something new." Foundations of Trust. The Green Technology Expo transformed Singapore's Marina Bay Sands Convention Center into a showcase of innovation. Booths displayed everything from biodegradable building materials to AI-powered energy systems. Mira navigated through crowds of entrepreneurs and investors searching for the Darty Technologies Pavilion. She found it in the sustainable housing section, modest compared to the corporate giants surrounding it, but drawing a steady stream of visitors. Unlike the slick presentations nearby, this booth featured actual working models, miniature homes with integrated water systems, scale models of community gardens, and digital displays showing real-time resource management. A man in his late 30s stood with his back to her, gesturing animatedly as he explained a rainwater filtration system to interested observers. He wore a simple linen shirt with rolled-up sleeves and khaki pants, conspicuously underdressed amid the corporate uniforms around him. "Conventional housing wastes approximately 80% of water that touches the property," he was saying, his voice carrying the soft lilt of Kerala's coastal accent. "Our design captures rainwater, filters it through living walls, and recycles gray water for agriculture, reducing external water needs by 60%. Mira listened, impressed by the elegant simplicity of the system. When the crowd dispersed, she approached. "Mr. Mehta?" He turned, revealing a face marked by thoughtful intelligence rather than conventional handsomeness. Eyes that crinkled at the corners, suggesting frequent smiles, and a short beard peppered with premature gray. Recognition flickered across his features. "Ms. Sharma, I recognized your work before I knew your name." He extended his hand. "Arjun Mehta. Your Garden Bay designs are revolutionary." His handshake was firm, his palm calloused, the hands of someone who built things himself rather than merely designing them. "Thank you. I'm intrigued by your eco-village concept. Most developers approach sustainability as a marketing feature. Your models suggest you're thinking about entire ecosystems." Arjun's smile revealed a slight gap between his front teeth. "Because we are ecosystems. The separation between human habitation and natural systems is artificial and, frankly, disastrous. Would you like some tea? I brought actual chai from Kerala. These conference centers never have decent tea." They settled in a quiet corner of the booth, where Arjun poured fragrant masala chai from a thermos into paper cups. The familiar aroma transported Mira momentarily back to India. "So, tell me about this Kerala project," she prompted. "We've acquired 50 acres of previously overfarmed land outside Kochi. The soil needs healing, but the location is ideal, close enough to urban centers for community integration, but removed enough to establish genuine self-sufficiency. Arjun's enthusiasm was palpable as he outlined his vision for a community that would produce its own food, energy, and building materials while creating a replicable model for sustainable development. Ambitious, Mira observed. Who's backing it? Various partners. Some private investors who believe in regenerative economics, some government grants, and, he hesitated, personal resources. And where do I fit in? Your designs integrate natural elements without sacrificing functionality or beauty. Most eco-architects create either impractical showpieces or utilitarian structures that nobody wants to live in. You understand that sustainability must be desirable to be adopted. Their conversation flowed effortlessly from technical specifications to philosophical approaches. Hours passed unnoticed until the convention hall lights dimmed, signaling closing time. I've monopolized your entire afternoon, Arjun said apologetically. Would you consider continuing our conversation over dinner? There's an excellent South Indian restaurant nearby, and I've been craving proper dosa since arriving. At dinner, Mira discovered that Arjun's path had been as unconventional as his approach to development. An engineering degree from IIT led to a promising career with a multinational tech company before he abruptly changed course. I was developing water purification systems for luxury hotels while villages 20 kilometers away had no clean drinking water, he explained. The dissonance became unbearable. He returned to India, using his tech background to develop affordable filtration systems for rural communities. Darti technologies evolved from there, expanding into sustainable housing, solar integration, and community development. And you? What brought you to Singapore? He asked, deftly changing the subject. Mira hesitated. She had crafted a professional narrative about international opportunities that omitted any mention of Vikram or personal disappointment. But Arjun's straightforward manner invited honesty. A combination of professional ambition and personal necessity, she admitted. I needed space to redefine myself. Arjun nodded, not pressing further. Sometimes uprooting is the only way to grow properly. Over the following weeks, their professional collaboration deepened. Mira consulted remotely on the eco-village design, suggesting modifications to improve both sustainability and marketability. Arjun's team implemented her recommendations with impressive efficiency. When he invited her to visit the Kerala site, Mira surprised herself by accepting. Singapore had become comfortable, but something about Arjun's project, and perhaps Arjun himself, awakened her dormant sense of purpose. The Kerala landscape welcomed her with lush greenery and air heavy with humidity. The project site bustled with activity. Local laborers using traditional techniques alongside modern innovations. Arjun moved among them, conversing in Malayalam, adjusting plans, and occasionally joining the physical work. You're hands-on for a CEO, Mira remarked, watching him help install a solar panel. I'm terrible at delegation, he confessed, and I believe architects and engineers should understand the practical implementation of their designs. That evening, they sat on the site's temporary office veranda, watching fireflies emerge as twilight descended. Somewhere in the distance, temple bells chimed. Why didn't you tell me you're financing most of this yourself? Mira asked, having overheard a conversation between Arjun and his project manager. Arjun looked momentarily discomfited. It seemed irrelevant to our professional discussions. Most people would lead with their financial commitment. Most people want to impress you, he replied simply. I wanted your honest assessment of the project, not assumptions based on my investment. Something shifted between them in that moment, a foundation laid for something beyond professional respect. Mira found herself sharing the story she had kept carefully contained. Vikram, the humiliation, her flight to Singapore. Arjun listened without interruption, his expression thoughtful rather than pitying. When she finished, he said only, his loss was architecture's gain, and perhaps Kerala's as well. As her visit concluded, Arjun walked her to the waiting taxi. Would you consider a more formal role with the project? We need a lead architect who understands both the technical requirements and the vision. I have commitments in Singapore, Mira reminded him. Of course, but perhaps a partnership arrangement? Tan and Wong might see the benefit in an Indian expansion. Their hands touched briefly as she accepted his business card. A simple contact gesture that nonetheless sent an unexpected current through her. For the first time since Vikram, Mira felt the stirring of possibility that extended beyond professional achievement. I'll think about it, she promised, suddenly reluctant to leave. On the flight back to Singapore, Mira reviewed her sketches for the eco-village. Alongside technical notes, she had unconsciously drawn Arjun, not a portrait, but the essence of him. Hands gesturing enthusiastically, shoulders slightly hunched in concentration, eyes crinkling with genuine warmth. She closed her sketchbook, both startled and intrigued by the direction of her thoughts. Whatever was developing between them would require careful architecture, a foundation built on mutual respect before anything else could be constructed. Constructing a future director, Lim's expression remained carefully neutral as Mira outlined her proposal for a partnership between Tan and Wong Associates and Darty Technologies. The Kerala Eco-Village presents unique opportunities, she concluded. It's not just a housing project, it's a living laboratory for climate-responsive design that could position our firm at the forefront of sustainable development in the region. And you would oversee this partnership? Lim asked, adjusting his glasses. I would divide my time between Singapore and Kerala with virtual coordination when I'm off-site. Mira maintained her professional demeanor, though her heart raced. This proposal meant more to her than she had admitted even to herself. After a week of deliberation, the firm agreed. The board sees strategic value in expanding our South Asian presence, Lim informed her, but they expect tangible results within 18 months. Over the next 6 months, Mira established a rhythm between Singapore and Kerala. Her life became a careful balance of corporate presentations and muddy site visits, video conferences, and hands-on model building. The contrast energized rather than exhausted her. Collaborating with Arjun proved both challenging and exhilarating. Where she prioritized aesthetic harmony and spatial flow, he focused relentlessly on functionality and resource efficiency. Their respectful disagreements often yielded innovative solutions neither would have conceived alone. The curved rooflines. Your proposing will increase construction complexity, Arjun pointed out during one design session, his finger tracing the blueprints spread across a makeshift table at the site. But they'll enhance natural airflow by 15% and reduce heat absorption, Mira countered. Plus, they reference traditional Kerala architecture while serving a modern function. The budget will accommodate the modification. If we simplify the interior partitions, which matches your philosophy of adaptable living spaces anyway, Arjun's slow smile conceded her point. This is why I needed an architect who argues with me. Their professional synergy gradually extended beyond work hours. After long days at the site, they often shared simple dinners at local restaurants, discussing everything from childhood memories to climate change policies. Mira found herself sharing thoughts she had never articulated to anyone. Her fears about balancing creative vision with environmental responsibility, her ambivalence about traditional expectations for Indian women, her determination to create spaces that improved lives rather than merely showcasing design. Arjun listened with genuine interest, offering perspectives that challenged without dismissing her views. Unlike Vikram, who had treated her career as secondary to his own, Arjun engaged with her professional ideas as valid and valuable. You never talk about your life outside work, Mira observed one evening as they walked along Kochi's waterfront. Watching Chinese fishing nets silhouetted against the sunset, Arjun shrugged. There's not much to tell. After my parents passed away, I inherited their estate and decided to use those resources meaningfully. Work became my focus. No relationships? Mira asked, immediately regretting the personal question. A brief marriage. In my 20s, he admitted. Priyanka was brilliant, a human rights attorney. We wanted different lives. She's now with the UN in Geneva. We remain friends. He glanced sideways at her. And you? Singapore must offer interesting social opportunities. My social life consists of architecture forums and occasional dinners with colleagues. Mira laughed. Not exactly romantic. Something unspoken hovered between them, acknowledged but not pursued. Their professional partnership required solid footing before they could explore personal terrain. The eco-village progressed rapidly, attracting attention from sustainability experts and potential residents. As the first model homes neared completion, a documentary crew arrived to feature the project in a series about climate-responsive design. Ms. Sharma, what inspired the integration of traditional Kerala elements with modern technology? The interviewer asked as cameras captured the distinctive, curved rooflines and living walls. Architecture should honor cultural context while addressing contemporary challenges, Mira explained. These homes speak the visual language of Kerala while pioneering new approaches to resource conservation. Later, watching Arjun demonstrate the community's water management system, Mira experienced a moment of startling clarity. His genuine passion, evident in every gesture and explanation, had become essential to her own vision of the future. The realization both thrilled and terrified her. That evening, as they reviewed the day's footage in the project office, Arjun's phone rang. His expression shifted as he listened to the caller. I understand. Yes, I'll be there. He ended the call, his usual calm demeanor replaced by visible tension. Everything all right? Mira asked. A situation with one of my companies in Mumbai. I need to fly there tomorrow. Companies? Plural? Mira raised an eyebrow. Arjun had always presented himself as the founder of a modestly successful environmental technology firm, not a multi-company owner. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. There are some aspects of my life I've kept separate from our work here. It seemed simpler. Simpler for whom? For this project. For our collaboration. For... He hesitated. For whatever is developing between us. The unspoken finally found voice. Mira felt simultaneously relieved and apprehensive. And what exactly is developing between us, Arjun? He met her gaze directly. Something I wasn't looking for but find myself unwilling to ignore. Something I'd like to explore if you're interested. The moment hung between them, fragile and significant. I've built careful walls since Mumbai, Mira admitted. Professional achievements seemed safer than personal connections. Understandable. But even the best architects know when a wall serves its purpose and when it becomes a limitation. His voice softened. I'm not asking for a blueprint of what comes next, just an openness to possibilities. Mira considered his words. The caution that had protected her for 2 years whispered warnings, but another voice, perhaps the architect in her, recognized the potential in what they might build together. Transparency matters to me, she said finally. Whatever you've kept separate, I need to understand if we're going to explore possibilities, Arjun nodded. Come to Mumbai with me. Some things are better shown than explained. The next morning, they boarded a flight to Mumbai. Mira watched Kerala's lush landscape recede beneath clouds, aware that she was returning to the city of her heartbreak, accompanied by a man who had somehow slipped past her carefully constructed defenses. Mumbai greeted them with its characteristic chaos and energy. Instead of heading downtown, their taxi navigated toward Worli, stopping before a gleaming skyscraper with distinctive green terraces cascading down its facade. Mehta Tower. The security guard greeted Arjun with respectful recognition. Welcome. Back, sir. Mira turned to Arjun, questions evident in her expression. This is part of what I need to show you, he said quietly. Meta Enterprises headquarters, one of several companies I inherited and transformed over the past decade. As they rode the elevator to the top floor, Mira struggled to reconcile the humble, hands-on developer she knew with this new information. The doors opened to reveal an executive suite that, while luxurious, reflected Arjun's environmental ethics: living walls, natural materials, and expansive windows that minimized artificial lighting needs. A woman in a crisp business suit approached. "Mr. Mehta, the board members are assembled in the conference room." "Thank you, Divya. This is Mira Sharma, the architect I've been collaborating with in Kerala. She'll be joining us." The revelation unfolded gradually throughout the day as Mira observed Arjun navigate meetings with confidence and authority. Meta Enterprises, she learned, encompassed technology development, sustainable real estate, and renewable energy divisions, all transformed under Arjun's leadership from conventional businesses inherited from his industrialist father into pioneering environmental enterprises. "Why keep this separate from Darty Technologies?" she asked as they left the building that evening. "From me?" Arjun guided her toward a waiting car. "One more stop before I explain everything." They drove to a residential complex in Juhu, where a penthouse offered panoramic views of the Arabian Sea. Unlike the ostentatious luxury of most high-end Mumbai properties, this space was designed with mindful simplicity: comfort without excess, quality without ostentation. "My Mumbai home," Arjun said, leading her onto the terrace where a small garden flourished in carefully designed containers. "And the reason I've kept certain aspects of my life private." As the sun set over the horizon, he finally shared his complete story: the burden of unexpected inheritance at 28 when his parents died in an accident, his decision to redirect the family's industrial fortune toward environmental innovation, the exhaustion of navigating between corporate expectations and his own values, and the painful lesson of his first marriage, where his wealth had overshadowed his actual work and principles. "With Darty Technologies, I wanted to create something measured purely on merit and impact, not family connections or financial resources," he concluded. "And with you?" He paused, searching for words. "With you, I wanted to be valued for my ideas and efforts, not my bank accounts." The Mumbai skyline sparkled as darkness fell, a constellation of human ambition and ingenuity. Mira considered his words, understanding his reasoning while still processing her surprise. "I respect your intention," she said finally, "but partnerships, professional or personal, require full disclosure to work. You're right. I should have trusted you with the whole truth earlier." Arjun's voice held genuine regret. "Does it change how you see our work together? How you see me?" Mira looked at him thoughtfully. The essential qualities that had drawn her to him, his integrity, intellect, and dedication, remained unchanged by this revelation. If anything, his redirection of inherited wealth toward meaningful impact revealed a deeper character than she had initially recognized. "It doesn't change who you are," she acknowledged, "but it does change some practical considerations for whatever might develop between us." Their conversation continued late into the night, honest and sometimes uncomfortable, laying a foundation of transparency that both recognized as essential. By morning, they had reached an understanding. Their professional collaboration would continue with full disclosure on both sides, and their personal relationship would develop at its own pace, grounded in mutual respect and genuine connection. As they prepared to return to Kerala, Mira received an unexpected email, an invitation to the prestigious Srishti Architecture Awards in Mumbai, where her Garden Bay design had been nominated for Urban Innovation of the Year. "You should attend," Arjun encouraged. "Your work deserves recognition." Mira hesitated, remembering her last architectural award in Mumbai, the night she had overheard colleagues diminishing her achievement. That memory now seemed distant, belonging to a different version of herself. "I will," she decided. "It's time to revisit the city on my own terms." Neither mentioned the obvious: Attending the ceremony would mean returning to the professional circles where Vikram Malhotra still moved prominently, a test of how completely she had rebuilt herself from the foundation up. Homecoming triumph. The Srishti Architecture Awards represented the pinnacle of recognition in South Asian design. Held in Mumbai's iconic National Center for Performing Arts, the ceremony attracted the industry's elite, established titans alongside emerging innovators. Mira's nomination for the Garden Bay project placed her firmly in the latter category. She stood before the mirror in her hotel suite, adjusting the drape of her midnight blue silk sari embroidered with subtle silver constellations, a custom creation from a Singapore designer who had incorporated architectural elements into the traditional garment. The woman reflected back at her appeared composed and confident, though her pulse quickened at the thought of the evening ahead. "You look stunning," Priya said, entering with a garment bag containing Arjun's formal attire. "Singapore has clearly agreed with you." Mira smiled at her cousin, grateful for her steadfast support. "It's not just Singapore," she admitted. "It's finding purpose again, and perhaps finding Arjun." Priya raised an eyebrow. "We're still defining what we are to each other," Mira replied, though the warmth in her voice revealed more than her words. Arjun emerged from the adjoining room, transformed from the casual site manager into a distinguished entrepreneur in a meticulously tailored band gala. The understated elegance suited him, formal enough for the occasion while maintaining his characteristic authenticity. "Ready to dazzle Mumbai's architectural community?" he asked, offering his arm. "Ready to show them what I've become," Mira replied. The venue buzzed with networking intensity as India's design elite exchanged business cards and measured each other's influence. Mira felt curious gazes following her entrance, former colleagues surprised by her return, competitors assessing the Singapore success story, newcomers wondering about her connection to Arjun Mehta, whose reputation as an environmental innovator had begun generating media attention. Near the bar, she spotted him, Vikram, resplendent in designer formal wear, Sonali Kapoor Malhotra at his side, dripping with diamonds that caught the light with every gesture. For a moment, Mira felt a phantom, echo of the pain that had once defined her. Then it dissolved, replaced by a detached curiosity about the strangers they had become to each other. "Mira Sharma." The familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. Rohit Desai, the senior architect whose dismissive comments had once cut so deeply, approached with an ingratiating smile. "The Singapore sensation returns. Your Garden Bay project is quite impressive for a conceptual design." "It's no longer conceptual," Mira replied evenly. "Construction begins next quarter. The Singaporean government has already pre-sold 70% of the residential units." Desai's smile faltered. "Remarkable. And I understand you've ventured into rural development as well?" His gaze flickered to Arjun, speculation evident in his expression. "The Kerala eco-village represents the future of sustainable community design," she confirmed. "Arjun Mehta's environmental technologies combined with architectural innovation have created something truly revolutionary." Mehta. Recognition dawned in Desai's eyes as he reassessed Arjun. "Of Mehta Enterprises? The renewable energy conglomerate?" "Among other ventures," Arjun acknowledged modestly. Their conversation was interrupted by the ceremony commencement announcement. As they moved toward their designated table, Mira felt a hand on her arm. Vikram stood there, his expression an uncomfortable mixture of surprise and calculation. "Mira, I heard rumors you'd returned." His gaze traveled from her face to Arjun, then back. "You look different." "Growth tends to change people," she replied simply. "Indeed." Vikram cleared his throat. "The Malhotra Group has been expanding into green development. Perhaps we should discuss potential collaboration." "My schedule is quite full," Mira interrupted gently. but congratulations on your marriage and continued success." She moved away before he could respond, feeling neither triumph nor resentment, just the peaceful certainty that his presence in her life had diminished to insignificance. The award ceremony proceeded with predictable elegance, tributes to architectural pioneers, recognitions of lifetime achievements, celebrations of innovative newcomers. When the urban innovation category was announced, Mira straightened in her chair, conscious of Arjun's supportive presence beside her. "The nominees represent transformative approaches to urban challenges," the presenter announced, "and the award goes to Mira Sharma for the Singapore Garden Bay Floating District." The applause washed over her as she made her way to the stage, conscious of the industry's collective focus. Standing at the podium, crystal award in hand, she surveyed the audience, former mentors, rivals, colleagues, and those who had once dismissed her potential. "Architecture at its best is an act of optimism," she began. "It assumes our capacity to shape environments that nurture rather than deplete, that connect rather than isolate, that endure rather than expire. The Garden Bay Project embodies this, optimism in the face of climate realities that many prefer to ignore." She continued with acknowledgments of her Singapore team and mentors, concluding with words that carried personal meaning beyond their professional context. "Finally, I'm grateful for the unexpected detours that redirected my path. Sometimes what appears to be structural failure actually creates space for more innovative foundations." The after-party hummed with conversation and subtle power dynamics. Mira found herself at the center of attention, developers seeking her, involvement in prestigious projects, publications requesting interviews, former colleagues suddenly recalling their unwavering support of her early career. "Quite the homecoming," Arjun observed quietly during a rare moment alone. "How does it feel?" Mira considered the question. "Less important than I imagined," she admitted. "Their validation no longer defines my worth." As the evening progressed, Sonali Kapoor Malhotra approached, champagne flute in hand. Her poise was impeccable, though something vulnerable flickered beneath her polished exterior. "Congratulations on your award," she offered. "Your speech was inspiring." "Thank you," Mira replied genuinely. Sonali hesitated. "I admire how you've created your own path. The Kapoor Malhotra developments follow established formulas. Sometimes I wonder what we might accomplish with more innovative approaches." The conversation revealed unexpected complexity in the woman Mira had subconsciously reduced to a one-dimensional rival. As they discussed sustainable luxury development possibilities, Mira recognized that Sonali possessed genuine business acumen constrained by traditional expectations, not unlike her own earlier limitations. "Perhaps your firm should consider environmental innovation as a market differentiator," Mira suggested. "The premium sector increasingly values sustainability alongside luxury." "I've proposed similar initiatives," Sonali admitted. "Change comes slowly in established family businesses." Their unexpected connection was interrupted by a commotion near the entrance. Media representatives swarmed around a new arrival, Rajesh Dhanraj, India's technology billionaire, whose ventures in artificial intelligence had recently expanded into urban infrastructure. "He rarely attends industry events," Sonali explained. "His presence suggests he's scouting talent or partnerships." To Mira's surprise, Dhanraj made his way directly to their small group, his focus unmistakably on Arjun. "Mehta," he greeted. "Your renewable grid integration system has impressed my technical team. I've been trying to reach you for weeks." "I've been somewhat off-grid myself," Arjun replied with characteristic understatement, "working on-site in Kerala." As the men discussed potential collaboration, Mira observed their interaction with growing understanding. Arjun's quiet confidence stemmed not from his financial resources, substantial as they were, but from his genuine innovation and integrity. His wealth functioned as a tool for creating impact rather than a source of identity or power. Later that night, walking along Marine Drive where the Arabian Sea crashed against Mumbai's curved coastline, Meera and Arjun reflected on the evening's revelations. Dhanraj's investment could accelerate the eco-village model nationwide, Arjun noted, from prototype to scalable solution. And Desai's architecture firm suddenly expressing interest in sustainable design partnerships, Meera added wryly. Amazing how innovation becomes attractive once it's validated by success. Success has many definitions, Arjun mused. Tonight, you received professional recognition, but watching you navigate that room with such self-possession, that's a different kind of achievement. The sea breeze carried memories of her previous life in Mumbai, the ambitions, disappointments, and lessons that had shaped her journey. The city no longer held power over her. It had become simply one point in her expanding geography of possibilities. 3 years ago, I left here believing my value had been diminished, Meera said, watching waves reflect the city lights. I thought Singapore would be my redemption story, proving myself through professional achievement alone. And now? Arjun's question hung between them, laden with unspoken implications. Now I understand that true value isn't externally conferred. She turned to face him fully. It's built through choices, relationships, and purpose, like good architecture. Arjun's smile held both amusement and tenderness. Are you comparing human connection to building design? Why not? Both require solid foundations, thoughtful planning, and courage to innovate beyond conventional patterns. Her hand found his, fingers intertwining. Both involve risk and vulnerability. Both create spaces where life unfolds. And what space are we creating, Meera Sharma? The question encompassed their professional partnership, their growing personal connection, and the futures they might construct together. The answer wasn't yet fully designed, but the blueprint held promise. Something sustainable, she replied. Something authentic. Something neither of us could build alone. Morning found them on the balcony of Arjun's Juhu apartment, watching fishing boats return with their night's harvest. Meera's award stood on a side table, catching early sunlight. Her phone buzzed with a notification, an email from Tan & Wong Associates offering her directorship of their new South Asian Sustainability Division. Another message followed from Priya, forwarding a Society column headline, Architectural Visionary Returns, Meera Sharma's Triumph Captivates Mumbai Elite. The article detailed her Singapore success, her award, and, inevitably, her romance with environmental tech magnates. Arjun Mehta. The final paragraph couldn't resist noting her previous connection to Vikram Malhotra, describing her as the architect who transcended heartbreak to global acclaim and found love with one of India's most eligible green entrepreneurs. Arjun read, over her shoulder, his expression concerned. Tabloid simplification of a complex journey. Meera laughed. They missed the real story entirely. Which is? That external validation, whether professional awards or relationship status, was never the true measure of recovery or success. She set the phone aside. The real triumph was rebuilding myself according to my own design principles, integrity, purpose, and authenticity. The Mumbai skyline stretched before them, a testament to human ambition rendered in steel and glass. Beyond the urban sprawl, the horizon promised infinite possibilities. What next? Arjun asked. Singapore? Kerala? Mumbai? Meera considered. The global reach of their combined vision, sustainable communities adaptable to different environments and cultures, accessible across economic spectrums, regenerative rather than extractive. All of them, eventually, she decided. We've laid the foundation. Now we build something extraordinary. The morning sun illuminated the city where her heart had once shattered. The same city that now witnessed her return not as the woman left behind, but as the architect of her own renaissance. The symmetry felt appropriate, a completed circle that spiraled upward into new dimensions of possibility. Later that day, as they prepared to depart for Kerala, Mira received one final message, an invitation to present at the International Sustainable Design Conference in Paris, recognizing her as an emerging voice in climate-responsive architecture. "Looks like our work is gaining traction beyond regional markets," she remarked, showing Arjun the invitation. "Our work," he repeated, thoughtfully. "I like the sound of that, professionally and personally." As their car navigated Mumbai's crowded streets toward the airport, Mira watched the city recede, not with relief as she had 3 years earlier, but with appreciation for its role in her journey. The painful ending that had once defined her had become merely prologue to a far more interesting story, one she was now writing on her own terms with a partner who valued both her vision and her heart. "From Mumbai to Singapore to Kerala to Paris," she mused, "not the path I imagined. The best architecture often emerges from embracing unexpected constraints," Arjun replied, his hand finding hers. "Adaptation creates innovation." Mira smiled, recognizing the truth in his words. Her life had become a creative response to circumstance, transforming limitation into possibility, heartbreak into wisdom, and separate journeys into shared purpose. The future stretched before them, not as a predetermined blueprint, but as an evolving design, responsive to challenges, grounded in shared values, and constructed with intention. Whatever they built together, communities, technologies, or relationships, would stand on foundations stronger than those they could have created separately. And that, Mira reflected, as Mumbai disappeared behind them, was the most elegant design of all.